Okay, so this is my mid-2010 MacBook and I'm going to run Windows 8 on it and there's a good reason for that. I'll just start it up first though. So I've got an SSD in this Mac and 8 gig of RAM, so it runs pretty fast even though it's 9 years old now. And Windows 8 came out in, well, the beta was available in February 2012. And that beta was actually very good for me because I was running 2 computers with Vista on at the time, and Vista was incredibly slow on those computers. And as soon as I installed the beta, it transformed the computers into much quicker devices. They used to crash less. They were more secure. It was an improvement. So the final version came out, I think it was around about August that it started coming out on computers for retail, and I was working in a computer shop at the time selling computers, and it was quite a hard task selling Windows 8 to customers who had had previous versions of Windows, because when you're presented with something that looks like this, nobody really knew what to do, and it was very, very much touchscreen oriented. So if I move around the screen, you can see if I move down to the bottom right hand corner here, you get the charms bar. And this was how you switched it off. So people couldn't switch off their computers. If they had a computer for years, they had no idea how to turn their computer off. And what you used to have to do was go down to the bottom, slide up, click on settings, and then you've got your power options. And you can see some of these, it's a bit like the notification center in Windows 10, but you can see how this was confusing to people. And if you wanted to have the desktop and wanted to see all your icons, you had to click on desktop. And here you can see I've got some folders, but really all it started up with was these 2 icons. So your folder icon, Internet Explorer, these 2 weren't there. I don't even know what that one is. And you had the recycle bin at the top. So very, very basic. There was nowhere to click down here. And if you went down here, you could see that the start shows up. And if I go on the right hand side, I still get these charms bar. So I can get the start bar back from there, and I can click on desktop to go back over. What was weird as well, if you hadn't launched desktop, pressing the Windows key wouldn't do this, wouldn't switch you between, so there was no consistency. So if you started off like this and thought, well, I want the desktop because I've got a file on there, or I've got a program I want to access from there, you couldn't actually do that. You had to click on desktop first. You couldn't just press the Windows key. But once you've launched a desktop app, you can switch between the 2 very quickly. And this works really fast. So if I click on this now, and if I go to search, you can see all the programs come up. So if I click here, I can move through all the programs and various things that are on here. So if I wanted to launch, say for instance, Google Chrome. And it starts up pretty quick. If I do a search, you can see it's actually quite nice to use. Explorer is really buggy. Now this version of Windows 8, I haven't applied any updates. I've actually turned updates off, and it usually comes up with a flag, but it's not coming up with a flag at the moment. But Chrome seems to work perfectly fine on it. The only reason I'm using Windows 8 currently is because on this Mac, to use Boot Camp to be able to install Windows 10, I have to start installing Windows 7, then swap the disk out, put Windows 8 in, and then I can update to Windows 10. So I've got to go through that procedure to be able to do it. So one thing I used to like and miss on Windows computers now is, so on this screen you can just start typing. So if I wanted to find out details about the system, you can see that I can click on System, click on Settings and System. And I used to really like this when I used to sell computers with Windows 8 on, and Windows 7 had the same. It would give you a Windows experience guide, so you could click on that and it would give you an idea. So if you were selling 2 computers side by side, it would give you an idea of how Windows thought it would run on that device. And it was handy, I mean, you could go by the score, but you could also look for the lowest thing, and if people weren't using it for gaming, then the graphics was less important, so you could concentrate more on the processor and things like that. But that's something I miss from Windows, but it's not too much of an issue. So now I can go up to the corners now. So now I've been in the desktop environment. If I go back into the tiles menu, top right, top left rather, you get this desktop shortcut, but you've got to go right in the corner and click. If you go anywhere way away from that, it disappears. Bottom left, you've got that as well, and bottom right brings up the charms bar. So there's two browsers on this device. Now when I started this computer, I had two versions of Internet Explorer. Now, something weird's happened. So this Internet Explorer icon is different to the one that I started off with Windows 8. So it must have installed some sort of update to Internet Explorer and got rid of the touch version, because there is a version of Internet Explorer which works very well with touch, and you have to swipe up from the bottom to get the bar, and it was very much designed for the Surface and all those little 7 and 8 inch Windows tablets that came out at the time. So I don't know why, but it actually does seem to have disappeared, and I can't seem to get it back, because I wanted to show, when you launch a Windows style app, it's how you close it down, and that was definitely more about touch, because you used to drag from the top to the bottom. Now I think they come with, I think you still get an X. No, you don't get an X. That's obviously a Windows 10 thing. So to close this app, you had to pull your mouse up to the top and drag it all the way to the bottom to get rid of it. There's SkyDrive on this, which is obviously called OneDrive now, which has changed. There's a news app, which is here. And you use the, see, everything wants to update. I'll just close that down. So as I say, it was really that thing of trying to convince people that this was the way to go, that this was the improvement. For me, going from Vista to Windows 8, the improvement I got was performance, and my laptop and desktop at the time were much faster. It was a free install, and I ended up buying Windows 8 for both devices, but I used to do Microsoft training, so I got it very cheap, and those can now be upgraded to Windows 10. So this will go to Windows 10, and I'll do a video on that, but at the moment this is dual booting with Mac OS and Windows 10. Anyway, let's try some games, because I haven't been able to get this, this is GTA 3 from ages ago, and I haven't been able to get it running on various different things, but it will run on this device. And this is modded, so it's got the real cars in it, although it only seems to be doing it with Volkswagen Beetle. But let's go into it. And I have no sound, by the way, and although it's GTA, don't worry, I won't be doing anything illegal. There's nothing that you need to shield people away from in this. I won't show anything, and there's no sound anyway, so I'm not going to get any swearing. So let's find a vehicle. And this actually runs really well. I guess it should, because it came out a long time ago. I could plug a joypad in, but it works fine with the keys. Let's try and find a Volkswagen Beetle, which is one of the mods that I'd added to the game. Is that one up there? No. I don't know if that's a mod as well. I don't know if that's a different skin on this car. Oh, you see that? I think that was a change as well. I'm not sure. Oh, and the monster truck as well is very different, as you can see. I'll cut this. Oh. So with the monster truck, you can actually drive over things. This is modded, so the wheels are much bigger. So this curb you wouldn't normally go over, but you can see I can drive straight over it. And I can actually drive over cars. It's a shame I haven't got any sound. Or maybe not this car. Maybe if it was a car, but maybe if I approach it from the front. The handling's really different. Oh, there's a low car. There we go, straight over. Whoop. Shame I haven't got any sound really, but you can see it still looks decent. I still haven't found a Volkswagen Beetle, and I want to show you a Volkswagen Beetle. There's another monster truck. Whoop. Funny camera. The handling's really odd. Right, so where am I going to find a Beetle? It did originally have all sorts of BMWs and Ferraris and all sorts, and I don't know how I redo that mod. And I don't really want to go down there. There's not going to be any Beetles down here. I'm going to get up there. I'm not going to get up there. Come on, Beetles. So there's a fast car in there. Got a feeling there's one park somewhere near here, up here somewhere. No. What's that? Oh, I probably don't want to be driving into them, do I? Ah, there we go. There's a Beetle. Where's it gone? Where did it go? Oh. A Beetle in there. Okay, so here's the Beetle. You can see it looks pretty cool. There's various different versions, different colour versions of them. And you can see the police are after me, but clearly I've done nothing wrong. I don't know what that's about. And if I reverse, you'll be able to see the front of it, I think. Or if I get out, you'll be able to see it. There you go. So this was a mod at the time. Used to find it on a website. And obviously this same sort of thing exists for the new GTA, but it was quite exciting at the time when people released new cars and they came out. The other GTA I've got, so that was the one with real cars, and then there was one that has a snow mod on it. And basically with the snow mod, you can see that it says snow, or it's German, I think it is. So if we load that up, let's jump into a van. And what's interesting is straight away, even though the van's in the garage, you can see the snow on the tyres. And I can't remember if it's a bit slipperier. There used to be loads of mods for, oh there you go, so you can see the street out here. I can leave tyre tracks in the snow. There you go, white tyre tracks. And there's snow on the grass, not on the trees, but on certain bits. So that's the snow mod. And it's funny because I leave tracks. You can see the snow tracks there, but other cars don't. Whoop. Anyway, so that's Windows 8 running GTA 3. And just to give you an idea of how fast things move around, so we go to folders, you can see as I flick through all the desktop icons, music, pictures, videos, there's not a lot on here obviously. Everything works really fast for an old computer. So, but obviously Windows 8 isn't properly supported anymore, or I think support is ending soon. But yeah, perfectly usable. But it was that thing of what were Microsoft thinking? Because when people who've had computers for years are presented with that, it's fine if they're on a Surface because you're expecting it to be different, or a touchscreen device. But with a mouse and keyboard, it just didn't work properly. Okay, so that was Windows 8. It's going to have Windows 8.1 on it, so I'm going to try that and just try and remember what the differences were with that. And then eventually I'll have Windows 10 on it, and this will be dual booting on my SSD because I don't use this Mac for editing anymore because I use an iPad Pro. So I've got a bit of extra space on the 240 gig hard disk, so there's enough room for a 45 gig partition for Windows, and it's a licensed version of Windows 10. I bought Windows 8 very cheaply through Microsoft training, so I'll have Windows 10 and Mac OS running on this one. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.